It's the Eagle Community Television Forum with your host, Gary Shorman.
Hi everyone, I'm Gary Shorman and this is a forum on Eagle Community Television. It's good to have you watching along. Hope you're getting ready for a good holiday season. We have a festive guest with us. I'm going to just use that as a way to roll in. Sue Boldra, who is our state representative from the 111th District. Sue, good to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Are you all ready for some fun holidays?
Yes, I am. Yep, got 7 grandchildren waiting for me.
Oh my gosh, that's going to keep Grandma busy then,
That's going to keep Grandma busy. Yep.
Well, let's talk about the legislature because it seems like you just get through the holidays and next up is back to the legislative season. We hear about it on the news side of things. You live it every day. Let's just look at the big picture first. What are you expecting in the next legislative session?
Well, originally, I had thought, since it was going to be an election year, that we would just do some nice, soft, fuzzy things so that it would look nice on postcards. But I've been to Topeka a few times, and I think it's going to be an exciting, I hope not as contentious, but certainly an exciting. We have much to do in this next session.
You know, that's one of the things that you mentioned, contention between things that happens on the national level.
Yeah.
No one can get along. What's been interesting in the state legislature, the same thing happened, except it's almost more Republicans against some of the very conservative Republicans and back and forth than it is the Democrats and Republicans.
That is true. However, I also have seen a very large split between the urban and the rural. That has been even more contentious to me in my committee meetings than Democrat or Republican, or even the two sides of Republicanism. I just, there's so much that people who live in those metropolitan areas don't understand, and yet they have the votes, they have the majority in the House and the Senate in Kansas, and so we really fight hard to protect rural Kansas.
Well, Sue, one of the things, we started with the real heavy questions. I mean, I have some easy questions to talk about. We just dove right into the heavy stuff right from the start. That is interesting because, you know, you look at, you know, some people consider anything west of the Topeka city limits as western Kansas. Wanamaker Road in west, it's in western Kansas, and frankly, that makes it real tough for the legislators that are from this area to really be involved and make a difference.
Yeah, it
does. How do you fight that? Because it is a fight.
You have to rally the troops. You have to help them understand. I've obviously on the education committee, that was a big issue. It was more the high population centers versus rural Kansas than it was Democrats and Republicans. They would keep coming up with bills that would affect high population centers but wouldn't have any effect on Kansas schools in rural Kansas. And I kept saying that doesn't help my students. Well, but if you just help a few of us out here, I said, no, we're not going to pass legislation, or at least I'm not going to vote for legislation that only helps the eastern part of the state in Wichita. We have important schools and we have important children in western Kansas, and we take up 3/4 of the land mass, not the population, but our children are just as important as yours, and we have just as bright as children.
Well, let's roll back and let's start where I'm really going to start with the easier thing. How do you like being in the legislature? You've been through one session, another one's coming. You love it.
I love it because I'm an educator. I live and breathe education, and that has been my life. And of course, government education was one of the things I love most. Took teams to Washington to compete on the We the People program, and now I get to live what I taught all those years. And I still teach at the university, so I've married the 2 jobs, and they're perfect. I love what I do.
Now, how much time does it take? Because when we talked before the program, it's like, how did you expect to take this much time involved? Because they talk about a citizens legislature, with it's part-time, we only do it in the spring, but really, you spent a lot of time back and forth to Topeka, really, since the session ended back in May and June.
Yes, I have spent a lot of time in Topeka, and I've spent a lot of time with local groups, civic groups and the energy groups, et cetera, and I have enjoyed every minute of it. It does fill up my calendar, but the kids are gone, the grandkids aren't here. I've got lots of time to devote to my constituents here.
Now, one of the sessions, not just recently, you were involved with some discussions with the governor.
Yes.
And really taking a look forward, probably what's going to happen. What did you learn there that you can tell us about that isn't top secret?
Nothing's top secret. I think that he is truly an honorable man, although I don't always agree with the policies and the politics. I think he truly believes in education. I've talked to his wife Mary about this several times, and he would like to see education funding come up. He doesn't want to see education funding cut at the university level or at the public school level, and that makes me feel very good. I think we had more of an interesting discussion, as I told you a little earlier, with Derek Schmidt, the Attorney General, and with Chris Kobach, the Secretary of State, in some of the national things that are really going to affect Kansas farmers and the Kansas economy.
Well, you mentioned that when we talked, that the one thing that happens is the federal government comes in and issues a whole new set of rules.
Yeah.
And then you have to deal with those rules and find out how Kansas adapts to that. What are those issues that are out there?
A lot of the issues, Kansas is named as a plaintiff in a number of Supreme Court cases, federal Supreme Court cases.
With other states or just
Yes,
Kansas?
with other states. Only two, I think, have our name in the title. One of them has Texas as the plaintiff, but it was really a Kansas case that got us there. And most of those are about the EPA and taking over EPA, trying to harness coal again and continue to pass legislation that would keep us from building that coal-fired plant. Much of it is about the air quality and the water quality. Again, saying that every little stream is a navigable water and that they can control it. Really upsets me when I have a little farm pond that's not navigable. Those kinds of
Big
things.
Creek. I
Or
just
Big
went by
Creek,
Creek.
right,
It's
right.
kind of low,
every little
low,
ditch,
low, yeah.
they say is navigable. So we have some real fights, I think, ahead of us.
I assume money will be an issue again, because
Always.
with enough money, it kind of solves all the other things. So that continues to be, even with some of the cutbacks, and some of them people consider aggressive cutbacks,
Yeah.
if not overly done.
Sure.
Where will we stand money this year? Is there any prediction on that?
No, but according to the convention that I went to, we are ahead of where we thought we'd be. They continue to say whenever you do anything like we did, cutting the income tax, et cetera, that it's going to take 2 years before things level out, before we really know if we've made the gains that we hope to. We do know that we are in a fight with Missouri. She wants us to dump our tax plan because it's hurting her. Businesses are moving across the border. So I think it's still a wait and see. I think it was a grand experiment. I don't think it's over yet, but I think we will know by the end of this session just how this is going to play out. But again, that Gannon decision for school money is going to dictate much of what happens.
I know you spend time at your office back in Topeka and back and forth. You get a lot of requests, and I was surprised by just the sheer number, the volume of requests you get for help from constituents.
Yes, and I'm excited to help, but sometimes it really is I have to do a lot of research because I don't serve on many of those committees. I'm not on the health committee. I'm not on the business or state and fed, but I enjoy that. I'm a school teacher. I'm doing my research. I'm reading the bills. I'm really trying to stay current with as much as I can. Obviously, I can't do everything, but I'm trying.
What are the top things people ask about?
Right now, asking about the IDD, the disabilities that didn't get carved out of CanCare, was a big issue last year, but I've heard nothing about it this summer. So I think perhaps the pilot is working. I think
At least people know the rules.
Yeah. I have heard some concerns about CanCare and what the Affordable Care Act is going to do to Kansas. And I'm really not sure. And whenever I go and ask people, they say, we don't know yet. So I don't know I'm not sure I can find an answer for many of those people. Water is going to be an issue for rural Kansas. I'm not sure we have any answers, but that'll be a good discussion. The Energy Committee is kind of gearing up for some heavy testimony. I'm excited to see what's going to happen there.
One of the things you could get in the legislature, see, I get more rain in western Kansas. Maybe that would be one of those things you could add to that list of things to do.
I'm not sure I could convince the people in the eastern part of the state that we don't have rain out here.
One of the things I know that happens when you get into the session, there just gets to be a lot of, I'd say, energy back and forth with how do you connect with people and how do people find you. I know you're back here a lot. But how do you like people to find you, connect to you?
I really want them to call me. My cell phone is posted everywhere on all of the cards that I have, on all of the flyers that I have. If you go to the House of Representatives website, my Gmail is there, my FHSU mail is there, my legislative email is there, and I think all of my phone numbers are there. So call me or come by. We still have, our phone is still in the phone book here in Hayes, so look me up and give me a call.
So there's no excuse, right?
There's no excuse. I am available.
All right. See, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back in a minute and really go back to where we started in the hard part next session and kind of what's on your wish list of things that you would like to see happen. Our guest is Sue Boldra, who's our state representative here in the 111th District. We'll be back with more after this from Hayes Med.
Youthful body, tight tummy, smooth facial lines. Greystone Cosmetic and Reconstructive Surgery is here to help you achieve your goals and give yourself the new look you've always wanted. Greystone offers sophisticated surgical and non-surgical cosmetic procedures. With services now available locally, there's no need to wait any longer. Contact Greystone Cosmetic and Reconstructive Surgery at Hayes Medical Center today or online at greystonecosmetic.hayesmed.com.
It's a beautiful day in our super high-speed internet great customer service neighborhood. Like you, this is where we live. In fact, our company is employee-owned, so it's our goal to improve the quality of life for everyone in our community by delivering faster, more reliable internet, clearer, more feature-laden phone service, and tons of high-definition TV channels, all with a level of customer service and value you'd expect from people who are your neighbors. Eagle Communications, our community connected.
Welcome back to the second half of our forum program. We record this on Monday afternoons here at our Dillon's location on Vine Street. So if you see somebody walking by with a poinsettia, that's probably the holiday season cheer at its best. If you want to chase me down, send me a note, gary.shorman@eaglecom.net. You can also find us on Facebook under ECTV Forum. Our program is brought to you by Hayes Med, and our guest is Sue Boldra, who is now heading into her second session at the Kansas State House, representing us in the 111th District. And Sue, as you head in, went into the break talking about your wish list. Is that something you do, or is that something that constituents say, hey, Sue, we'd like you to help us here? What do you see at the top of your list?
Yeah, I really take my lead from the constituents. They tell me what they want me to work on. I'm real concerned, and I spoke to you a little earlier about this. I'm very concerned about the Gannon decision, the Supreme Court decision, Kansas Supreme Court decision that is going to talk about school funding again. And if the Kansas Constitution were written to say exactly what an appropriate education is, this would be easy. But no one knows what an appropriate education is for all the school children across Kansas. And so that's what we continue to battle. I don't know if they're going to tell us we're going to have to come up with another $500 million every year for education. I don't know if they're going to realize that the budget, where do we come up with that money? What do we do? Do we raise property taxes, which is never popular? Do we raise the sales tax back to where it was? Do we put the income tax back in? I'm not sure there's an easy solution. I do know as a government teacher that according to the Constitution, the federal Constitution and the state, the Supreme Court has no power to tax. They have no power over the sword or over the budget. And therefore, it is difficult for me to think that they can tell us what we have to spend for education. I think all of us know that education is so important in Kansas. We are still in the top 10 in every national standardized test. We do it well in Kansas. So some would say, we have an appropriate education. We've done well. And others would say, but it was cut after the recession and we lost the government stimulus money. The Fed money came down. I'm not sure that the state money did. And so that's still a perception of many people in education that we have been cut. Well, we did, but it wasn't state money, according to what I've seen. And I'm not sure how we're going to settle this. I hope that they give us a reasoned response, that we think we need to raise funding for education and we're going to do it in steps. Let's shoot for these targets in the next 3 or 4 or 5 years. But I really don't know what we'll do if they say you're going to have to come up with $500 million. Right now, the state legislature, who really has the power of the purse, has the money, is not even named in the case. We're not even being sued. So I'm not sure what that means if a decision comes down, because we weren't named.
And then you still add to that the rural Kansas issue versus the bigger cities.
Yes.
And how that ties in. So no matter how that affects, probably one size doesn't fit all, no matter what the ruling comes down.
That's right. And the legislators were out here going to the Regents universities, and they came to Fort Hays. And of course, Fort Hays is just the poster child for the way you do higher education. They love President Hammond. They love taking the initiative in our own hands and having the China schools, the China connection, the internet for Western Kansas. We've just done an incredible job, and we've found our own money, and we've made our own money, and we've raised our own money, and they're hoping that the other region's institutions would do the same. So we, out here in Western Kansas, we know how to use those resources, and we do it well.
I know you also put, you put your money where your mouth is on this.
That's right.
Because I know as an instructor, you spend a lot of time not only doing online courses, but what is the average hours? About 12 hours per instructor, and you're at 19. So I think the Fort Hays State faculty and administration just roll up their sleeves.
Yeah, that's right.
To get it done, and that's kind of what we do in Kansas.
That's right. That's right. We don't go asking anybody else for a handout. We just figure out how to make it work.
Sue, you mentioned earlier you can go online and go to the House of Representatives website.
Yes.
And they have all of your contact information.
Yes, yes.
Including the good old phone book. If nothing else fails, go to the phone book and you can find their number to contact.
Yeah.
Because it will be exciting. I know things will come up that will affect you that are watching, maybe in one way or another. Be sure and contact, because one thing, if you don't know about it, it's really hard to make the right calls.
True, true. And we made some errors. We never know about those unintended consequences when we pass legislation. And we made a couple of errors, and I've been told about them, and I felt them myself. And so we have some fixes to make. But those are the hard things. Those are the things that I get upset about, because I think we ought to look down the road a little further before we pass some of that legislation.
Now, next year's your second session, but it also gets time to run again.
Yes.
And from your excitement level, I have a feeling you're going to keep right on trying to be involved with the state legislature.
I am. I still do believe in term limits, so I'm not sure how many more times I'm going to go. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm honored to be there. And I just get giggly when I think about sitting in that chamber.
Well, it's great to have someone representing us as excited about it as what you are.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Gary.
Sue Boldra has been our guest here on our forum program on Eagle Community Television. If you have any questions or answers, again, let me know. Questions or comments, let me know at gary.shorman@eaglecom.net. Our program is brought to you by Hays Med and by Eagle Communication. Our community connected.
Youthful body, tight tummy, smooth facial lines. Greystone Cosmetic and Reconstructive Surgery is here to help you achieve your goals and give yourself the new look you've always wanted. Greystone offers sophisticated surgical and non-surgical cosmetic procedures. With services now available locally, there's no need to wait any longer. Contact Greystone Cosmetic and Reconstructive Surgery at Hays Medical Center today or online at greystonecosmetic.haysmed.com.